When I first considered real estate investing, I initially thought I'd buy a few rent houses, but one asset class that I'd never given much thought to were mobile home parks. Although they're fairly common here in Louisiana, I'd never considering owning one until now. Now it seems that mobile home investing has kind of flown under the radar and proven to be one of the best real estate opportunities available, as it's often overlooked due to common misperceptions. But when you start to understand that this is a great way to produce consistent returns while avoiding risk, you may start to think a little bit twice about investing. And in this video, we're going to let the secret out on one of the best cash flowing assets out there now in real estate. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Jeff Anzalone, a periodontist that's on a mission to get you out of the rat race. Do me a favor and download the free passive income guide with the link below this video. Let's get started. Depending on what area of the country that you're in, you may not be quite familiar with mobile homes, mobile home park. So let's start off by answering the question, what exactly is a mobile home park? Now, this is a type of residential development that usually consists of a tract of land that's been divided into smaller plots for the purpose of leasing or renting to mobile home owners. Now, park residents often have access to amenities such as things where other apartment complexes have as well, like playgrounds, swimming pools, laundry facilities, etc. Now, small mobile home parks usually have anywhere from 10 to 25 pads, while larger ones can have several hundred pads, all of which typically use the same roads and common area amenities. Now, in most cases, these residents own their homes outright, and in exchange, they pay rent, which is called lot rent, on a monthly basis to the park owners. Typically, this also covers the plot of land the home is owned, the use of those common areas we discussed, and the utility connections. Now, in the last decade, some of the largest U.S. private equity firms have been rapidly buying up mobile home parks due to their unique performance. So guess what? The secret's getting out. And some of the biggest investors include Blackstone. Now, mobile home parks are now getting a lot of money from private equity. Blackstone Group, which has over $800 billion in assets under management, has become a huge player in the mobile home park space in the last year or two, and they don't seem to be slowing down. And they're not the only private equity company competing in the space. Others include Sam Zell. Now, in the mid-90s, billionaire Sam Zell, he actually started buying mobile home parks in all areas of the country because it was 100% contrarian, as not many other investors were investing in mobile home parks during that period. He's famous for his investing strategy, which involves looking right when everybody else is looking left. Now, before the Great Recession, he started selling off most of his office space and apartment complexes, yet he never sold a single mobile home park, which has allowed him to amass the largest portfolio now in the industry. Also, a guy by the name of Warren Buffett, another big player in this space, and his company, Berkshire Hathaway. Now, a few years ago, they acquired Clayton Homes for just about $2 billion, and they're now positioned to build over 25% of the mobile homes manufactured here in the U.S. Now, Berkshire and Clayton Homes, they offer some of the most creative ways for people to get financing, as Berkshire's 21st Mortgage provides buyers of both new and used mobile homes with a great option for funding. Recent studies show that with the economic future of America in question, mobile home parks are perfectly positioned to harness the power of a declining U.S. economy. Now, why should you, a busy, high-income professional, even consider investing in mobile home parks? Well, for one thing, high demand. Now, mobile home parks are becoming more popular because really there are not enough of them, and really more people out there are wanting to live in low-income housing. Simple case of supply and demand. Also, as more baby boomers with fixed incomes continue to retire in record numbers, the need for affordable housing will only grow in the foreseeable future. According to research, there's around 10,000 baby boomers retiring each day, with an average Social Security payment of about $1,300 a month, and many have less than 30 grand sitting in their retirement funds. As a result, more low-income individuals and seniors are looking to mobile home parks as a way to remain homeowners. Number two, as we talked about earlier, there's a limited supply. Now, mobile home parks are the only type of asset that I know of whose demand keeps going up while the supply actually goes down year after year. The number of mobile home parks in the US is decreasing as developers are buying and using land for other purposes. Some parks are so old and neglected that they sometimes must close their doors for good reason. The supply gets even lower as demand increases, especially during downturns in the economy. Number three is very, very high cash flow. Now, due to the fact that the cost of purchasing a mobile home is much lower than that of the other home types, the potential ROI or return on investment is very high. Mobile home parks tend to have a steady flow of cash, unlike other types of real estate that go up and down with the market. Number four, lower risk. Now, as the number of tenants increases in a mobile home park, the amount of risk decreases as well. So in other words, the risk is spread out more when you have more tenants. So for instance, if you only have, let's say, 5 mobile homes in a park and one of the tenant leaves, you're losing 20% of your income. Whereas if you have 50 mobile homes on your lot and one tenant leaves, well, you only lose 2% of your income. Even with economic downturns, mobile home parks can have a steady cash flow because, again, they're always in high demand. And how well they do has nothing to do with the stock market, which is a good thing. Has nothing to do with the economy or other types of real estate. Number five, they also have a very low maintenance cost. Now, in an apartment complex, the responsibility for the building's upkeep falls on the owner, which is different than a mobile home park. Most mobile home park residents, they actually own their own home and they're the ones responsible for maintenance and repairs, while the investor, you and me, we just simply own the land. Number six, long-term tenants. Typically, mobile home park tenants, they stay for an extended periods of time, which is different than somebody living in an apartment. Here's why. If an apartment tenant paying, let's say, $1,000 a month learns that their rent is going up 6%, they actually may move to avoid the $60 monthly increase, which is going to be $720 annually. On the other hand, a mobile home park tenant paying $350 a month, getting a 6% bump in rent, they only pay $21 more a month. So it's highly unlikely for them to move, especially after they learn they'd have to dish out $4,000, sometimes $5,000 to have their trailer moved and then to a new park. Then they have to get all the utilities hooked up at a new site just to save $21 a month. I don't think so. Now let's move on to something that really you need to consider about this asset class, and that has to do with mom and pop owners. Now in the US, there are roughly 40,000 mobile home parks, of which 85 to 90% are owned by mom and pops. Now, this is important due to the possibility of mismanagement opportunities. Most of these owners are content with running their parks with little to no marketing, limited systems, or financial controls in place. Many have already experienced incredible gains on paper, which they're going to receive whenever they decide to sell. Professional operators can typically identify the amount of value in these mismanaged parks by uncovering inefficiencies in operations, excessive operating costs, along with potential opportunities for expansion in value. Now, when the NOI or the net operating income goes up, cash flow increases and the value of the property can go up faster. Aside from that, these operators know how to use the tax code to help their investors obtain tax benefits, such as delaying or avoiding paying taxes on cash flow and in some cases on capital gains. I actually partnered recently with a gentleman that he at the time owned about 5 or 6 mobile home parks. We came together, he identified one in South Louisiana. Same thing, mom and pop owner, they were tired, they were moving on to another asset class, super mismanaged. After only 1 month of us taking over the park, our monthly rent roll is already higher than has ever been previously with this other park owner, and they've owned it for probably 5 or 6 years, just because of mismanagement. So again, if you can identify some of these mismanaged parks, sometimes you'll hit a gold mine. All right, so let's talk about if you are deciding on investing in mobile home parks, how do you do it? There's typically 2 main ways to do it. Well, number one, you can simply go out and buy a park yourself. Or number two, you can do what I love to do and partner with a mobile home park syndicator, because you can be hands off. You can basically be kind of like a silent investor. Now, if you want to do the first one, if you want to be an active investor, typically the first step is to decide whether you want to own a park that leases out the homes or one that owns the homes outright. So you've got POH. This is the park-owned homes, and the park that we just bought. The majority, I'd say about 50 to 60% of them were park-owned homes. And then you've got TOH, or tenant-owned homes. So one of the first things that we started doing was selling off these park-owned homes. Had to evict several people just because they weren't paying because of the owner. They really didn't care. And as we started bringing in new people, we made it a point after we raised the lot rent that it was only going to be tenant-owned homes. So again, remember, lower maintenance costs because we're putting the cost of upkeep and repairs on the tenant. They own their home. The only thing we have to deal with is just the property itself. So again, if you want to be an active investor, that's the first thing that you need to decide on. And if you want to reduce the number of headaches to deal with, probably the tenant-owned home route, because all you have to typically do is just charge lot rents. Okay. Now, contacting some of the park owners to inquire about the ways in which they manage rental situations in the area that you're interested in is an excellent place to get started with this process. Now, you should also make it a point to get a solid understanding of the average fair market rent as well as the rental prices for mobile homes in the area. In our situation, there was probably 2 mobile home parks within a half a mile radius. So it was really easy for us to find out what the lot rent was. Actually, ours was quite a bit lower. So we brought it up to about the level of the ones around us in the park. Again, finding the needle in the haystacks, finding these mismanaged parks. They haven't even been calling around seeing what the other people's lot rents are. So just by doing that, automatically adds value to the park. Now, because the procedure for selling a mobile home park actually differs from state to state, you're going to need to investigate how the title is transferred from the seller to the buyer. You should also find out what kinds of rental ordinances are in effect in your region and just become familiar with those. Most of the time, you're going to need to purchase used mobile home parks. If you decide on sticking with the park-owned home, you can get these on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. Something else that you could do is use the MLS and local realtors in your area. It's a really easy way to invest in mobile home parks. Some local real estate agents might know about parks that aren't even on the market yet or whose listings have actually expired. Sometimes local bankers hear about small park owners that, they're kind of nearing retirement and they may want to sell. So it's a really good idea to establish connections that might lead to deals in the future. Now, if you plan on searching for deals outside of your area, you could use websites like LoopNet, Crexy, mobilehomeparkstore.com. Now, if all of this sounds good to you and you want to be an active investor, then go for it. Probably want to use an agent, go through the process. But if you're like me, you're busy, you would rather go the passive route. There's actually groups out there that are putting together these syndications and they're putting together these mobile home park funds. Now, I'm currently engaged in the process of identifying some of these groups, and I've actually partnered with 2 of them right now. If you're interested in investing with these groups, you're an accredited investor, and you want to learn more about the process, you can join the Passive Investor Circle with the link below this video. I hope to catch you and get you to invest with us in one of the best cash flowing assets out there, mobile home parks. Hope to see you in the Passive Investor Circle. Take care.